Welcome to the Let's Get Blunt podcast, where we roll up something sweet, pull up a seat, and get blunt about our healing. Today, our guest is Miss Temica Gross. And let's sponsor. The sponsor today, as every day thus far, is Golden Earth Botanics. Golden Earth Botanics is an alternative dispensary where we focus on CBD and terpene healing. We bypass the THC and get straight to the healing. It is a dispensary for those who put their healing first, but also want to partake in the cannabis lifestyle. With that being said, hello.
Hey girl, hey.
Hey. So introduce yourself.
Hey y'all, Temica. I really feel like I'm just Temica, but I've worn a bazillion hats before, none of which I think really matter now because I'm not running a business anymore. But I am your regular, smegular wife, mommy, and let's say digital content creator, because I am trying to build up that Instagram. So yeah, let's do that.
So pre-game, I was like, I'm not gonna blindside you because you have your Virgo in your chart too. So I was like, I know I had a whole Virgo morning, so I know what not being in control feels like. So I'm not gonna blindside you with that today. But the first question that they're gonna ask you is, now what? Right? Because you've been working with me for some years and you've gotten pretty much everything that you've wanted, like truly wanted. We've had to dissect pieces and like, you don't want that, stop acting, we had to heal in those years. But now that you've gotten to the point of what you ultimately desire, now what? How will you find your pacing moving forward as someone who is high achieving?
Oh my gosh. So now what? It's hard because, and I'll say this, I feel like things are always changing and we're always moving ebbs and flows. So to me, it feels like my now or my next always depends on what's happening presently. Like I can say ultimately, and I think we talked about this before, I can have this grandiose idea. This is where I want to be, and this is what I want to experience. And then maybe while we're working towards experiencing that, I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? It's not what I thought it was going to be. I want something else. But so then we have to kind of, deconstruct the entire house to start all over again. Now here we are in foundation. I'm thinking, this is exactly what I want. And while this skyscraper is going back up again, scaffolding is coming down, and I'm thinking, you know what? This is not what I want. So I'm in a space, yes, where I feel like this is what I want. And I can tell you, in one area, specifically work, I'm like, oh, I love it. This is where I want to be. And then today alone, we had a meeting where everyone, it felt like they were speaking German. And I'm thinking, am I cut out for this? But I'm not gonna tear that down. It's just, I think that's more so the monologue that I keep telling myself when I'm not catching on to something at the rate of speed that I think I should be. So that's my own internal monologue. So
my question is, do you tear stuff down as an attempt to have some level of control? So like when it's not meeting your standard, not necessarily as I'm not getting what I want, but you don't feel solid in it, then do you just be like, well, fuck it, I'm gonna start something else and I'm gonna do something else? And then when you don't feel solid in that, you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna do something else, because you're seeking to, Virgo, be the expert,
I was just saying, I want to be the expert. I was just saying, I want to be the expert.
Psychic or something.
If I don't feel like I'm on solid ground with the information that I need to present, I'm thinking this might not be the thing. I want something to be so natural. that this is what I do. I don't want it to be, okay, I have to go now and go back to school to learn something or take a certification course to get, it has to be natural for me, which is why I chucked marketing coach, why I chucked business coach, why I chucked graphic design. All that stuff went out the window because makeup artistry. Now I loved makeup artistry, but
I was literally thinking about that as I was beating my face. I was like, now Temica knows how to beat a motherfucking face. I was literally doing that today.
Girl, that was therapeutic. I had a bride from hell and I was like, you know what? I'm not doing it anymore. So I stopped and I checked all my makeup. Everything went, the kit went, everything went. I checked it all. But yeah, I have to feel, what makes me feel safe is when I feel as if I'm the expert in it. And in a lot of areas, I don't feel like I'm the expert in it, which is why I chuck it. My podcast, Chuck.
But my question to you is, if you're the expert in it, like, how can you then start anything new without being like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, if you have to be the expert in it, then starting anything new is going to be a challenge because it's going to challenge that psyche within you that I'm not an expert. And so you never give yourself the chance to ramp up to be an expert. Does that make sense?
It does. And it also feels like it takes forever. Like stuff like social media should be easy. Why does it take forever to build this grandiose following so you can start building upon and getting sponsorships? Long ago, you told me that I had this sponsorship with like a shoe deal or something. And I'm like, when do I ramp up to having, and maybe I don't need a large following to have it, but as I say that, I did have a partnership with the shoe deal. Where did that family go? She did have something. It might not have been that one, but I did have something.
I'm just saying. But so this is what I like moving forward, especially since in your career, don't do a motherfucking thing. Like, we have a tendency to believe that everybody in the room knows what they're doing and we're the only motherfucker that's flying by the seat of our ass. I'm gonna let you know, most of the motherfuckers are flying by the seat of their ass. They're just confident in it.
Yeah.
As someone who used to stand up and brief generals, there are a lot of times that I was flying by the seat of my ass, but just my stature, my poise, and the way I relayed the information allowed them to be solid in my analysis. I wasn't making shit up, right? But also in analysis, it's just what I think. It's not what is so. You know what I'm saying? So that does still require a lot of flying by the seat of your ass. Like, this makes sense to me, motherfucker. And so we think everybody else has this one up on us, which they kind of do. They've been there way longer than you, right? But also, is your job to be technical, or is your job to be the bridge between the technical and the creative?
Yeah, I'm definitely more creative than I am technical. And in my role, I would say maybe 35, 40%. And that is really just one time a month when I have to work on reporting. Outside of that, it is all communication, just communication.
So then why are you comparing yourself to the people who are in legit technical roles? Like, that's because, and the only reason you feel like they're talking jargon is because they are. Like, they're thinking in jargon. But you're not a computer scientist. You're not, you're not an engineer. Your job is to take what they say, massage it, and communicate it out to the masses to where it's digestible. You actually do not want to be them, because then they wouldn't need you. If they could take their jargon and massage it in such a way that I could understand it, or the masses or any of their other publications could understand it, they wouldn't need you. Right? You're there to facilitate as an interpreter. Right? As long as you understand what they're saying and can interpret it, you don't need to know how to do their job.
Mhm.
So stop putting that measure of yourself up there, because now you think you're not doing a good job.
Mhm. Yeah, pretty much.
And then, and you know what that leads to, what we've been talking about the other day,
Mhm.
overcompensation.
Yep. I was
Because you think you're not doing a good job. So now you're doing all this other work and you're just going to get them to be like, oh, this is her baseline. Well, no, but
right.
you cranking that shit up.
I was spending
But
hours.
but we have an ability to do that without showing sweat, without showing like that it's breaking us, right? Until
Yeah.
it does. Until it does.
Yeah.
So when they see this and you're doing it consistently, not a one-off, they're like, that's our baseline. So then when you pull back a little bit, because now I need rest, now I need to refuel, they're like, hey, Temica, is everything going okay? Because we noticed that, you haven't been the same lately. And you're like, everybody else around here don't be doing shit. No, you set the bar for what you could do on a consistent basis. They did too.
Mhm.
That's why they ain't fucking with them. They
Mhm.
already set the bar and they set it low.
Girl.
We have a tendency to go over and above just to be seen as basic.
Yeah. This
And
is
shit basic about the way we perform at work,
mhm.
especially Black women
Girl,
and
got my head.
high earning jobs. There's nothing basic about the way we show up to work,
Mhm.
ever. I've never met a basic Black woman in corporate or high earning positions.
Mhm.
We always show up and overcompensate.
Mhm.
Black men too, but Black women more so,
Mhm.
right? Because we are fighting at two intersectionalities. We fighting two intersectionalities, right? We can't be seen like this and can't be seen like that. So what I'm going to ask you is, what now? What choices are we going to make now so that we're not put back in the spot that we manifested our way out of?
Ah, yes. I think one way to really move forward in this is just to, and you mentioned it, really set my boundaries. Because I think I shared with you, I can email will go off and I feel like it has to be responded within 10 seconds or less. Or else.
Yeah, yeah.
So setting boundaries. Likewise, schedule, like I have PTO. We're off every other Friday with the way our schedule works. And today in a meeting, apparently my entire team is also taking Friday off, but they're putting in for that time. And they said collectively, let's have our phones on in case something emergency happens and we can all assess the situation. And I was thinking, but you weren't talking about me because that's
Right. Right.
y'all can do that if you want to, but that's my day off. But setting those boundaries where I'm not even taking the phone with me. So it'll just be here while I go do whatever it is I'm gonna do. So I think we're still very much so in its infancy with me joining this company. It's only been almost 5 months, 5 full months. So I still have the ability to set these healthy boundaries and also try to deprogram myself from the way I was behaving with the previous
Yeah.
similar
Right.
organization. And I think you were right when you assessed that I have PTSD from that organization. And they're similar. They're still
Mhm.
two matrix organizations. So it was hard for me to kind of turn one off and turn the other on.
Right.
I do recognize where even when through my communication with the people at this organization, how sometimes I get immediately, instantly upset. And it was a simple ask, as if it were the other organization. So
Right.
um, I think there's still a lot to deconstruct within so that I don't, explode or that I don't call back in the same sort of behavior that I was in just a year and a half ago. So
What was your strongest hurdle in getting here? Because you are one of several of my clients that are now, quote unquote, in their miracle frequency, which is getting to where they desire to be, and now it's a point of expansion and maintaining and sustaining, the very different energy than trying to get there,
Yeah.
right? So what was one of your biggest hurdles when it came to trying to get there or get to your miracle frequency?
Yeah, I think for me, it was really believing that I can actually get there. Things have to be super tangible for me. And I just couldn't really see how I would get there. I really thought I was stuck in the previous org. It was great for what it was. It was super slow. It was boring to no end, but it was what I needed when I needed it. I needed to get away from the first org. I went to the second org, and it was just a lullaby for me. But after a while, I hated that. I needed to feel some sort of value. So I started looking for the next, but I really thought I wasn't going to get there because I couldn't figure out how to connect the dots. All that we do is really, really, really faith heavy. And I kept thinking, how? I want to see on paper, like, where are we now in the process? Can you tell me that? I can't see that. So, of course, we go through what we go through within the container. And there was a lot of releasing, there was a lot of realignment, and there was just a lot of faith that this was going to come. And there were some things that I had to do, like redo the resume. I had to pitch it. It wasn't going to just land in my lap. So I had to go ahead and go out the box and search for things. And there was this one position that I swore to goodness I was going to get. And when I didn't get it, I hit you up, bawling my eyes out like, what do you mean I didn't get this job? I just knew that position was for me. And girl, no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, we've all been there, me included.
Heartbroken.
So, like, what was your growth like in that? Like, because I know from on the what is it, mentor side of it, what it looked like for me, right? But that's not to say like your day to day what that looked like for you. Like, I guess what I'm asking is, what was the tangible steps you had to make for yourself to invite this kind of shit in for you?
So I ended up for a good while just talking to spirit, because a lot of the times, and I feel like she's gonna yell at me, but a lot of the times I don't connect on purpose, if that makes sense. I don't carve out time to actually listen to what my next step should be, because I'm so tangible. I'm thinking, what do I want to do today? I know we should try to do this, and I'll go ahead and do it. So something that I did have to do was just sit, mellow it out, meditate, and connect with spirit to figure out what my next is. And in fact, that was how we got to the second, the middle position before this one, after the other one. All the signs pointing to that organization, down to me watching a movie and someone said, I'm going to take my clothes to, and they named this place. And I'm thinking, that must be where I'm going to end up. And I ended up there. So yeah, it really just took for me to just zen out and just channel spirit and get proper guidance on what my next steps would be. She doesn't ever show me the end result, but she'll give me a little nugget so that I'm not sitting here thinking, well, where are we in the process?
Right. And so you had to trust what you knew to be true. Or what you thought to be true.
What I thought, right. Because
right.
I will get the nugget and I will still go to you like, this is what I thought. This is what I thought. This is what I heard.
But even still, after confirmation of that, you still had to accept that as a truth. Like, there is that muscle that we have to use in order to get comfortable in our intuitiveness. Right. Yeah. Like, I call it trusting your equipment.
Yeah.
You like, if I hear something and because I'm clairaudient, so I hear a lot of what's going on. So I'll hear something or they'll show me imagery, especially for myself. For y'all, I could be like, it is what it is. This is what I heard. I don't give a fuck. You know how I am, right? I'm gonna tell you, it's like, it ain't gotta make sense to you. I don't give a fuck, but that's what I heard. Right? anyways, right? But then when it comes to myself, I don't have that same knowing,
Mhm.
right? With y'all, I'll be like, I'm 99%
Yeah.
with my client base. But for me, it's like I don't think I'm 99%, and I think I am. But since I'm experiencing it in all the ups and downs and the twists and the
Okay.
turns and the ins and the outs of it, it feels like, nah, I'm not 100. I'm not 99% with myself. So now I don't even trust it.
Okay.
So
Oh,
it's a whole thing of having to stand in that trust. I don't trust shit. So like, I don't trust nothing. That's what got me here, right?
uh-huh.
I am always the why we doing it this way? Who gonna be there? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
I trust nothing. So like when it came to God, spirit, universe, but y'all not special.
That's that Shayla Sharp. Mm-mm.
Exactly. I question everything. And that's my biggest hurt. Is because I can hear it, I can feel it, I can see it, but I will still question it if it's not of my own conception. And I think a lot of us who are mission purpose and passion and purpose driven, to where we're not just doing anything to make our ends meet, we're actually moving in the mission that we were put here for. I think a lot of us fall into that. This is not of me, so
Yeah.
I can't conceptualize it. I didn't make this. I'm not here because I thought this up,
Mm-hmm. Oh.
right? I didn't become a healer because that's what I sought out for. Healing sought me out.
Mm-hmm.
People start banging on my door talking about, so what's goody, right? And I had to stand in that, and I had some of the same shit that you're like, who, me?
Yeah.
You talking about me? That's not what I do. But that's that that faith walk is a lot.
It's heavy.
It's a lot, because like you said, you didn't even see yourself being there.
No, no. And in fact, never, not a million years from now, not with this company. No, no. And when I interviewed for it, I thought I already knew I wasn't going to get it, but I had to keep interviewing for anything to get out of where I was. So when they circled back with like the pre-questions, did it, okay, great. Can you give us a sample of your writing and sample of your imagery? And I'm thinking, I just so happen to have that because I made it for somebody else. Let me give it to you.
Just so happened, right?
She takes that next day, hey, we want to interview you on said date. I'm like, great. The craziest thing was I interviewed for it on a Thursday at 3 p.m. Interview was over at around 4 p.m. The
Mm-hmm.
very next day, Friday, I got an email almost 4 p.m. saying, you got the job. The email came across, the email said, thank you for joining said company. Here's your salary. And I'm thinking, when did I do what? And then after the email comes across, I get the phone call. Hey, I just emailed you. Wanted to know we want to offer you the position. And I'm like, the one that I interviewed for not even 24 hours ago. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's do it. But it took a getting clear
Mm-hmm.
to get there. Because I remember a lot of conversations of telling you, girl, you don't want that shit. And you're like, yeah. Because your Leo was just like, I do though. And I'm like, no, you don't.
Finish sharp.
Because you're like, give me all the responsibility. I want to be the head honcho motherfucker. And I'm just like, Miss Ma'am, no, you don't. You want to go thrift shopping. You want to take the little one on vacations. You do not want to be Miss Head Honcho.
I just knew I was going to take everybody's position. I said, give me 6 months. Watch me. I'm about to blow the sucker up. What? I was coming for everybody's position.
But that was healing in and of itself, to be like, you right.
Yeah.
Because one part of you does want that.
Girl, look, stop reading my cards. I do, but I'm scared. I do, but I'm scared. So yeah.
But also your value shifts. I think this might be like North Node, South Node confliction, kind of, because like my North Node, where's my North Node? I think my North Node is in Cancer, right? So I focus a lot on home life.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was my lot in life here, like that work-life balance and da da da. Hence why I'm here and she's upstairs sleeping, et cetera, versus what I was previously doing, which was working in my South Node, which is Capricorn. Where's my shmoney? Right? Like I hear everything you saying, but where my money? Don't play with me. And so there are still parts of me that's like, where my money at?
Uh-huh.
And I still want to like turn tail and move in that, because your self note is where you're comfortable at. You spent past lives in that. Like I do that with, I make money with my eyes closed.
Mm-hmm.
You know how I do. I'll come up with some shit and I'll be making money tomorrow. Like, like I'm a hustler. We're gonna get there. You know what I'm saying? So it's innate in me, but I actually have to consciously undo that on a day-to-day basis. Because I was like, no, baby, you need to slow down. You need to do this and do that. And then when I did, that voice was like, well, you lazy.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? Don't tell me you don't have that voice of your more driving force where you're comfortable. You're comfortable in the hustle.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's a voice that's just like, do the most.
Do the most.
Even though you're just like, I want to relax. I just want to get my money and like enjoy my time with my family outside of work. Work is just the means to my end. I want to enjoy the work that I'm doing, but also it don't make and break me. You know what I'm saying? It's just, I want that to just be, that's just what I do during the day. But when I go home, this is where I find my fulfillment, kind of thing, right? It's hard to undo that, because then you're going to go to work searching for fulfillment. And then you're going to do the most. And you have to consciously tell yourself, the job is not where I'm finding my fulfillment at. My family is. So if I'm going to do the most, it's going to be with my family. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've started to shift. I do the most with Jay. I just threw her ass an art gallery birthday party.
Yep.
Right. Come on, baby. Blew the pictures up, put them on easels, gave little pamphlets explaining her artwork to everybody that came in. Yes, let's do the most. But when it comes to like what I'm showing up, y'all could tell these are unedited.
Just get it done.
I cut out the beginning, I cut out the end, and it's just like, hey, boo. As long as you're getting the message, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
You know, and that leads me to something else about this. This is you and everybody else, because it feels like this is a collective thing that's happening that I probably went through like years ago, but you're going to end up having to try to figure out who you are without the label of what society has deemed you to be. Like there's a lot, you could feel it, because your friends are asking who they are. They're making changes. They're switching jobs. They're leaving marriages. They're leaving relations. There's a lot of things, because it's just like, who the fuck am I? There's this big awakening going on. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
But also it's, people are having to sever ties with things. Moving through that, how do you think you're going to have to move through that? Like, especially with that Leo in that chart, right?
I can't even imagine, because when you mentioned you mentioned that people are changing jobs and changing careers, and they're leaving relationships, and they're, part of me always feels like I need to catch up. Like, I see myself and I see my peers, and when I say peers, I'm thinking of those that I graduated college with. And I see their progression and I'm thinking, I have to catch up. This person has just went from that company to that company, this title to that title. I have to catch up. I have to do more, which kind of goes back to my current role, where I always feel like I have to do the most because I have to get that. And we talked about it before, that brag-worthy title. I have to have this brag-worthy title because that's how I'm going to define my success. So when you mentioned that there's this big shift happening and how will I move in it, I feel like I'm just going to get like batted around, and I'll never really be settled or solid in what I kind of want, which is this brag-worthy title. At the same time,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I want brag. I don't think I want that type of responsibility. Does that make sense?
Right. But what do you think is centering behind the brag-worthy title? Because whenever we desire something, it's fulfilling a need for us.
Yeah.
Like, most of us don't want shit for the sake of wanting shit,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's fulfilling some form of need. Even that Balenciaga bag is fulfilling a need for you to feel seen, for you to feel exclusive, for you to feel like it hierarchies you,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what part of it, or what part of you is saying, I need the attention to be solely focused on me?
I want to say that's rooted in childhood, to be honest. I have never, I know I haven't healed it, but I want to say that's rooted in childhood. Doesn't
Right.
matter what it is. I have to be seen as someone who's either like, who's got it, who, I always feel like I'm the underdog. So, and I'm second born, but I always feel, but the only girl. So I always feel like I'm the underdog, and I have to do something that makes you think, oh, you did that? So I want that. And I get that in areas, but it's almost like fertilizer. Like, I want to hear you say that because I'm gonna grow some more, if that makes sense.
So how can we make it to where we can do that, we can get that feeling fed without the external validation? So how can you feed self-fertilize in that?
Oh my gosh.
I know, profound, right? I'm a profound motherfucker when I'm high, man. Like,
okay, 10-second time out. Immediately what I thought was the man who sleeps on the floor. I fall out the bed.
The man who sleeps on the floor cannot fall out the bed.
Oh my gosh. So I gotta sit with that one. I gotta self-fertilize myself. This sounds like some kind of mental masturbation. Like, how do you do this?
Cause like, if that is a need for us, right?
Yeah.
If that's what we need, because it's hard work to heal it, right? So I'm all for a fastest way possible. Because if it's hindering us and we want to get somewhere, we got to heal it or mitigate it some way, shape, or form. Healing it takes a minute. We can mitigate while we heal, right? So like, what is a workaround? If I know I need that, if I know I need people to be like, ooh, and get that praise, how can I receive that praise? Or how can I then shift what I value as praise?
Yeah.
Because why can't it be that your son's saying, I love you in the morning and that you're the best mom ever? Why can't that fulfill that need for the hand clap? It's only because of where you place value. Is not any different, right? Your boss saying good job is no different than your son saying, Mom, you're doing a good job, right? The only thing that shifts is where we put priority to.
Okay.
So maybe we can shift the priority of praise,
Yeah.
right? What we deem as successful, we control what we deem as successful. We control that. Somebody could look at somebody and be like, they ain't got that. But if they happy, to them, that's their marker.
Yeah.
Don't nobody's more carefree than a motherfucker that don't give a fuck about what you think about what they doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've set their own standard, and as long as they're living to that standard, they are good. We know them.
Yeah. Yes, we do.
We're like, why don't you want more for yourself? And they're just like, you stressed, I'm not.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So where can we then shift where what we deem as a priority of that praise?
So what came to me immediately was the acknowledgement and attention and affection that I received from my family. And
Mhm.
I don't want to say I've seriously overlooked it, but I receive it so much that I think maybe I've mentally diluted it, is word.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
because I receive so little of it in other areas, I look forward to receiving that instead. So I think
Mhm.
that's one area that I can shift the value.
Right. And you know, that's human nature, right? But we also could not give a fuck. Like, we cannot care, right? We can go to work and like genuinely care about doing a good job, showing up as the best I can, but beyond that,
Yeah.
I don't put my identity in this shit like y'all do. Like, you know, and there's a difference. And again, that will also show up in the way you navigate the day to day too. You won't ever feel like you got to do the most. All you would feel like is, I got to do my job.
Right.
And as long as I'm doing my job, I'm good, because I don't hold value here.
Mhm.
This job does not make me who I am.
Yeah.
And I know that's hard. That's real hard.
It is.
I'm not even gonna lie. I could sit here and be holier than thou and be like, this should be easy, just shift it in your chakras and shit. Like, I could do that, but I'd be lying. Cause just a month ago, I was looking up senior intelligence analyst. Like, I'm not like, so I am not gonna sit here and be lying to you like, don't seek it out,
Yeah.
right? But if that's not what you truly desire,
Mhm.
don't seek it out, right? Because do you want that to be the priority? Do you want them to own that part of your identity, your
No.
job?
I've even gone to lessons learned from the previous similar company. I've even gone to this, like, associated myself with my colleagues as far as not sharing anything personal, not
Mm-hmm.
oh, we're gonna go here. Oh, here's a really heavy one that took me a while to adapt to. Not feeling the need to share when they share. I'm not here to compare. So if
Mm-hmm.
I'll say, hey, this happened to my son when he was 4, and it might have happened to mine when he was 5, I bite my tongue. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
for sharing. So I am trying to put up boundaries and disconnect, but there's still that pressure of, we've already talked about it a billion times, me wanting to overdo it just so I can kind of stake this claim that I'm a budding expert in my role 5 months in,
But
right?
what are you afraid of them taking away from you?
I'm afraid it will prolong me going to the next, whether that's just elevating in the role or going to like promoted somewhere else. I fear that it's going to prolong that decision, and I may sit here for like 2 years as opposed to my peers who are kind of like bouncing around all over the place.
Okay. But do you want to bounce around all over? Like, do you want more right now?
Um,
Or
in
are you you personally, without what your peers are doing,
Yeah.
are you okay with where you are right now?
It's easy. It's okay. But I know that it's like the bottom roll. I would like to go up one. And even if I coast there for a while, that's fine. I'm not forward facing with any potential customers. It's just the bottom roll. It's like basic communication, more like this happens weekly, this happens bi-weekly, we do this monthly, as opposed to you're sitting in on meetings and you're engaging with higher up. So it's okay. It may be
Mhm.
what I need right now to just level set before I can go on and do something else.
So Spirit is going to want you to get clear on what your enough looks like.
Hmm.
Not based on your peers, but like based on my idea of how I want to navigate. Of course, we can always shift this in the future once we get there, et cetera, et cetera. But what does enough look like? Because we got to figure out when the hustle stops.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because otherwise, all we did was rebrand hustling into manifesting. That's literally at that point, right?
Yeah.
Because manifesting is, like, for me, the way I want to look at it is bringing in the way of life that I choose to want to live,
Mm-hmm.
right? There has to be an endpoint. Otherwise, you're just still hustling,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, the people on the corner, that have you seen them, the same corner 20 years. Why are you still here? You're hustling wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing this for? Like, what does that look like? What are you doing this for? What are we doing this for? What are you,
Yeah.
I had to ask myself, ultimately, what am I doing it for? Like, what is my end goal? Otherwise, we're all just dancing, but we don't know when the music ending.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And we can sit down and
turn the
rest,
lights on. Yeah, right.
and I don't want that to be at 65.
Mm-mm.
I don't want to start finding out who the fuck I am and like what my joy and my passions at 65. I want to live that now.
Mm-hmm.
So what does it look like for me to hit that point where I can lean back from the pressures of capitalism?
Mm-hmm.
What would make it to where you can just shut all that noise out? Who gives a fuck if your peers are trotting across country if they fucking hate it? You know what I'm saying? They bitch to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't even want that shit. But now you're having the comparison, like, ooh, but they doing and they doing and they doing and they miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they doing it don't mean they happy, and very few are, right?
Yeah.
Because capitalism doesn't make it that way. Capitalism just says get the success,
Mm-hmm.
right? People are happy in their success. So what does it look like to you for you to be able to hit cruise control and actually just enjoy life as it is and just exist?
To actually enjoy and just exist, I feel like it's going to come down to having not only needs met, and we talked about this, I think, the other day, expansion.
Mm-hmm.
My needs are met now,
Right.
but I want more than where I am.
Mm-hmm.
I had like expansion, and I'm speaking like more room in my home.
Mm-hmm.
I garden, so I have like the urban garden. Can I actually have planters in the ground? Like, I want a yard fenced in,
Right.
having that expansion and having it met. I don't want to be house poor. I can
Mm-hmm.
I can cruise control.
Okay. Then get clear on what that looked like.
Yep.
Because again, like you told me earlier, if I'm not clear on what it looks like, it's hard for me to manifest it.
Very true.
So we can't continue moving towards something that we're not even clear what it looks like. So what does that look like for you? And I don't think it is as far off as you may think it is, especially with the combination of you and your husband. Because, we're not talking about just one person here. So between the two of you guys, I don't think you're that far off from, I'm thinking like 3 to 4 years, if that.
Okay.
But also recognize that you ain't got to do it all. So
Yeah.
even in your marriage, you're like taking on doing the most role.
Yeah.
Without their prompting. They're not even telling you you're not enough,
Right.
but you still like, I got to make more money. I got to do this. And it's like, he didn't say that. He did not say that.
You didn't.
Your husband could probably get a promotion and that will beat out you moving up a level and gaining more responsibility every day.
That is true.
And then he'd be doing something he loved and you'll be maintaining. Because the thing is, you don't love the work you're doing, you're good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't love the work that you're doing, you're good at it, and it's a means to an end for you to go do other things. And that's why you had all the businesses and stuff. Because now I'm searching for my purpose outside of the shit I just got to do on a day-to-day basis. Right. So all your businesses were purpose driven.
Yep. I was the purposepreneur. Yep.
I've been there. I am a serial entrepreneur myself. And while I was a 9-to-5, I tried to find purpose in my other businesses because I had to pretend. Right. Pretending only goes so long, but also pretending without knowing you're pretending is a different level of scary. You know what I'm saying? So now that we recognize that we're pretending when we go into these spaces, we can just do our job.
Yeah.
And then we can go live our life outside of that. So they got you from 9 to 5 or whatever your schedule is, right? And you got to tell yourself, I am going to give 100% of myself, not 200.
Yeah.
I am going to give 100% of myself every day as I would as a mom, as a spouse, as a partner. But after that, because that's all they're paying you for.
Very true.
Like literally, quite literally. That's all they're paying you for is for you to do your job. All that extra shit you're doing, they getting for free.
Yeah.
All that stressing you doing, they are getting that for free.
I was.
And then we'll go to them and say, you're taking advantage of me. I need more money. When they ask you to do all that shit.
Right. I was just thinking that yesterday. Like, what if? I was just thinking that yesterday. Like, you know what? Because our team, we lost 2 people. And I'm like, if I end up picking up so-and-so's work because she's gone, I wonder if I can renegotiate. Right, exactly.
Right. No. That's just added stress.
There you
right?
go.
And that's not where we want to be stressed at. We're eliminating stress.
Yeah.
Right. So we can go to work and do our job and be paid to do our job. Do it well, but let it be easy. Because it's second nature to you. Most of the time when we pick jobs that just make us money, it is easy. We're not trying real hard. Like it's not challenging. And that's why we don't feel purpose or passion in it, because we could do it with our eyes closed. And that's why we chose it to make us money.
I can do it. Like you said, I can do it. It's not hard. It isn't hard. But
so let it not be hard, because we keep asking for grace and ease, and yet we don't make it so.
Agreed.
We can know we don't have to live by the story of I gotta be 200% more to get 60%, right?
No,
Once they hired you to do the job, merely do the job. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be excellent. Your bare minimum is gonna be your peers. Like I stayed up for 2 days to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like, so why are we having to do extra when we're already outdoing the standard?
Right.
When your base level is above standard, why are we doing more?
Mhm.
And that's some questions that Black women have to ask ourselves, because it's a universal question. And
Yeah.
it shows up in everything we do. That's why, statistically, our statistics are rising in a lot of areas, from, tech to home ownership to degrees. And, because once we put our mind to it, we hyper focus.
Mm-hmm.
We get bored and go back and get a whole ass degree.
Yep.
Like,
Pretty much.
the grind never stops for us. But I think that's something I want to undo for us. I think the world has gotten enough out of our lineage
Mm-hmm.
to where if I'm meeting standard, bitch, be thankful,
That's it. Yeah.
because my lineage has paid its due to y'all's fucking productivity. So if you're paying me to do a job, I will do said job, but you ain't getting shit more from me.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
that's what we need as Black women, to collectively just say, I'm going to do my best at what I was hired to do.
mm-hmm.
Beyond that, you get no love from me.
You good.
Right? Because
Yeah.
I think sometimes we self-perpetuate the cycle. Because like I always love to say, your belief system will always find a way to validate itself. And so if I believe that I always got to do the most in order to get bare minimum, that is something I'm going to already go into situations with that lens on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even going to give the opportunity for it to be something else.
Mm-hmm.
I am going into this business knowing I got to be on my P's and Q's. I got to do this and I got to do this. You're coming with your hair tie, ain't nothing ever misplaced, and that. But you're struggling to even sustain that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you came in the door. They don't know shit of you.
Exactly.
But what you present it to be. And so it's like, if that's how they came in the door, then yes, that's their expectation of you. That's how you presented you to be. But we have it conflated sometimes, like that is what they expect of me, so that's why I do it. No, you showed up that way. They're literally mirroring what you're showing them.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just recycled and recycled and recycled. So sometimes we have to take accountability. And I'm not blaming Black women, Black people at all. I'm saying in terms of our own healing,
Mm-hmm.
to take accountability in that we have to stop believing the bullshit too. Right? And we know that there is a level of truth to that bullshit, right? It is. We got to be outstanding to even be noticed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black excellence isn't a word for, like, a phrase for no reason, right? But when do we say no?
Yeah.
What about Black mediocrity? I told my daughter, C's get degrees, baby. If you're trying your motherfucking hardest and you getting C's,
Mm-hmm.
because you're going to get that degree, baby.
There you go.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear. There's a doctor right now working at a hospital that got C's all through medical school.
It's the truth, though.
And he right next to the same motherfucker that was stressing the fuck out.
Okay.
C's get degrees if you are trying your best and your best says C.
Mm-hmm.
They'd be like, you took your daughter out? And she, yeah. Because she met the standard. And isn't that excellent?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But again, we do it to ourselves. Because me bringing home a C,
It would have been a problem.
it would have been a problem.
Mm-hmm.
But that's because we can't be mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But in order to actually buck that trope, we actually have to go against it. We have to allow ourselves to be mediocre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I know that doesn't feel good. I know inside that's just like,
I can't be the expert. Okay.
yeah. And but the thing is, your mediocrity again will be their excellence. Because if we're trying super hard and we're excelling, pulling back a little bit ain't gonna put you below.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm not saying that to not go for the gold if that's what you want. But if it's killing you inside and you have depression and you have massive anxiety to where you're shaking before you go into work, and you know, when you get home, you can't sleep because you're running through the day, like, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Because the things that I love to do and the things that I push hard for, it may keep me up at night, but not due to anxiety. It's because I'm researching or I'm doing something else. The energy of it will be different. So if it's causing those adverse effects in your body, then you don't want to be excellent in that, at least, right? So let's pour the energy somewhere else to where it will fuel you instead of deplete you. Because we could go be excellent somewhere else,
Mm-hmm.
to where it's natural and it's a flow and it's not causing me anxiety because I can easily sustain it.
Yeah.
Right. There's things I do naturally. Like this is natural to me. Seeing or hearing what people are saying that they're not actually saying, you know, it's like natural for me. I've always been the therapist friend, right? I've always been that person, and the analysis just comes naturally to me. Like I'd be like, "Ooh, this," and they go together in the A, B, C, D. And look at this beautiful thing I done came up with. That's natural for me, and so I'm excellent at it. But I won't allow it to give me stress.
Mm-hmm.
I had to. You saw how my business changed.
Yes.
I literally had to undo it because I'm like, why? Why am I doing that? Why am I going that hard when I literally don't have to?
Mm-hmm.
Because my bare minimum is people's standard. Like, you know, there were times where people didn't even know that I was seizing and shit because they're just like, how do you? I said, I sleep all day, damn near every day. Like for the most part, beginning of my career, I had chronic fatigue so bad. And I would sleep almost every day, all day. And people are like, no, you don't. Like you do so much. So it's like the fact that I could be that exhausted, sleep all fucking day, wake up for 1 fucking hour, do some work and go back to fucking sleep. And it's leaps and bounds beyond somebody's, I spent 2 weeks doing this shit. That means I don't have to go that hard to where I'm triggering myself into chronic fatigue flares.
Mm-hmm.
I could just chill the fuck out. And that's what I've been trying to do, is chill the fuck out. And it's a constant struggle. Like I said, it's not going to be easy. But it's a constant reminder of, is this in alignment with what I say I desire for myself?
Yes.
And that's what we navigate. So that's why I say get clear on what you desire for yourself, so that whenever you catch yourself desiring to shift and pivot or move, you can ask yourself, is this in alignment with what I said I wanted for myself? And have that be the litmus test. Because if it is in alignment, then the transition will be a lot easier. If it's not in alignment, the transition will be a little bit shakier because you don't even really want that.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's either that or you don't want what you say you want.
That's a whole nother thing.
Which is a whole other thing, right? But we've been there before too. I think everybody has been there before too. And it's like, why is it so hard to manifest? And then when we get it, we're like, this shit is trash. So yeah, I've been there. And I think I almost manifested myself back there last year. And so I'm not a patient being. I am not the one that find joy in the process. I need to see the growth.
Mm-hmm.
The process of putting the seeds in the ground is to see the growth. And if I'm not seeing the growth, I'm a little bit perturbed about whether I planted the seeds right.
Right. No, I get
Did I put enough water in it? Did I use enough nutrients? Did I, and I start dissecting all of that instead of just, I don't allow the process to be the process.
Mm-hmm.
So
many of us don't.
So here is where we're gonna say bye to our to YouTube. And we're gonna continue this conversation over on the Patreon page. So those of you that are Patreon Vibe members, you will get the extended interview after this, and also access to yoga, meditations, pop-up healings, and things of that nature. Link below. All right, my loves.